and welcome to Guitarist TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and we got our good friend Robby Lochner from Jack Russell's Great White with us today. As you can see, Robby, we're doing a new way. We're doing these video interviews now. It's been a lot of fun, and I've interviewed you a few times in the past, so wanted to welcome you back and to do it over Zoom now. So it's great talking to you, and of course, you are in Jack Russell's Great White, and the latest thing you guys did, of course, came out about a year or so ago. Been loving this, the Led Zeppelin tribute CD. And so how fans been reacting to that? Like I said, I know it's been out a while, but people have been reacting to that since it came out.
I haven't heard that much really. I've heard some people seem to really like it. I think I keep hearing more about the acoustic bites. I hear a lot about that.
Yeah, the acoustic bites I think is fun too, because it's a different take on those classic Great White tunes we all know and love. And, so it's a different way for fans to hear that. And which leads me to my next question. As great as all this stuff is, you guys did the one studio album. Is there any new music on the way? Have you been writing any new tunes? And if so, do you think we'll get another album, or do you think you'll do kind of a modern way of releasing, like maybe a song at a time?
I think we will be doing another album. I mean, right now I'm sitting on 5 tracks. This actually, what you're seeing here is my studio, and this is where we record the records. Well, the other one and the acoustic bites. But anyhow, so there's 5 tracks. 2 of them are mixed pretty well. They're not finals, but they're close. I'm just kind of getting stuff in the can.
And the 5 tracks, that's half an album, right?
That's exactly it. There's half the album basically, and so there's a lot of ideas for the other half that we haven't had the chance yet to get to that. So that's kind of the goal, is let's get these other 5, because I'm like ready. Let's track it. Let's get it in the can, and let's look at dropping a record. Yeah.
And do you predict maybe this year, more likely next year, it'll maybe be released?
It would be next year, just because even if we had it done, just say it was done at the end of summer, nobody's going to put it out for.
Of course, yeah. Makes sense. And that's the other reason I want to talk to you, because I don't know where people are, what a great songwriter you are, outside of Jack Russell. I mean, anybody can go to your YouTube page. I think I talked to you about this last time. You got a lot of great solo tracks. I mean, some of them I want to talk about today is there's a song I sing, All Over Again, which is a song I understand you dedicated to your wife. And I understand there's a little story about it was originally submitted for Dolly Parton or something. You want to talk a little bit about the song and that story?
Yeah, it was, there was a chance, it seemed like an opportunity to get the song for somebody to do a duet with her. So I wrote it, submitted it in, and then really nothing happened. So I sat on the song for a number of years, and then I'd go back and listen to it going, yeah, this is pretty cool. I like the track. And I pretty much kept the vocal I had. I had tried re-singing it, and it just didn't seem to have the same feel. And even though there's some quirkiness here and there, I thought, I like the feel. And what I did do is I retracked instruments around it. I did an acoustic guitar instead of the electric guitar that was done clean. And I can't remember everything I put in there. I just put different things, and a little drum loop in the background with a big reverb, and just like a dark thing to give it a haunting feel. And I thought, I'm just going to put it out. And it's one of those things when you put out something that's, I really geared it towards my wife. That's how I wrote it. But I thought, God, this would be perfect for her, for Dolly Parton. I thought this would be something that Dolly would sing, but I kind of want it for my wife. So, that's kind of personal. But I was like, I'm going to put it out. And it's hard for me to, like, if you were to put it on and me be in the room, I'd be like, oh boy, it's just one of those things. And I'm like, but I think it's a good song, and I figured I'll put it out, and if people like it, they do. If they don't,
and I imagine your wife's heard it. So what are her thoughts on it, being the inspiration behind the song?
Oh, she loves it. She loves it. She plays the song all the time. She plays it all the time.
I mean, you got the ultimate Valentine right there every year, hey, honey wrote a song just for you.
I mean, I'll get in the car sometimes, and I have a disc of it that she has, and I'll get in, and it just starts up and it's playing. I go, oh, she was listening to it.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine
another song?
Yeah.
There's another song I wrote for her called "Marry Me" that I actually played at our wedding.
Oh wow.
I doubt I would ever put that out, but I mean, I've been sitting on that it was just a personal thing I gave to her. Yeah. But nobody's really heard it.
I mean, All Over Me. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, if Dolly had written that song, I mean, as a songwriter, that's the ultimate goal. I mean, not just for you to maybe record this song, but somebody of that caliber, and most people think of you as a rock guy, and oh, this
Yeah.
rock guy's having, the queen of country record his song. And
Yeah.
so imagine how many people would have heard it. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and that's, I think, again, ultimate proof of what a great songwriter you are. The fact that, well, not just you, but anybody that writes songs, I think you should be able to write songs for more than just what you typically do. So like if you're a rock guitarist, and some country singer wants to take a stab, that shows you kind of that you can kind of do anything.
I mean, that's kind of my thing is I've over the years I've written very eclectic.
Yeah.
And an example of that is the He Saw It Coming record with Jack.
Yeah.
That's just, it's very eclectic. And we wrote all that together, but there's songs that I brought in and songs he brought in, and we just meshed it and made it happen. But when you listen through, you go, wow, from the first song to the last, how different is all that? And records I've done in the past are exactly the same way. You listen through and go, wow, how different is every track,
And so, I suppose you've also had the opportunity to write for other people, besides Jack Russell and other projects you've done over years. But one of those tracks I seen on the YouTube page was a video by another band. You weren't really, I guess it says featuring Robby Lochner, so maybe you were playing the guitar. It's The Star That I'll Become.
Oh, yeah. That's it's a band out of Tucson, Fall to Break, and they're just really cool band. I really dig them. They're heavy.
Yeah.
The guy Greg Arts, he mixes and does all the stuff, real brilliant with all that stuff. He's, I just love what he does. He's really super talented with his mixing and his writing. And we actually wrote another track that nobody's heard, and I'm like, dude, why don't we put this out?
Yeah.
I've got the rough of it, and he had some guys, and I forget who they are, but they're in a pretty well-known modern metal band.
Yeah.
And one guy played bass and the other guy sang, and then I don't know what the deal is. I mean, the track is great.
Yeah.
And
again, that band, they're a little more metal than what you typically do, which again, I think as a songwriter, it's great to also kind of lend your talent as a writer or producer to other up and coming bands. This is a little more of a metal band, like I said, and it kind of the fact that Robby Lochner can write a song for an up and coming band and kind of help get a little attention for this band is great.
Yeah, I mean, really the production on that is really Greg Arts.
Yeah.
He did, everything was really done in his place, except for the guitars that I did for it, I did here. But I just sent it over to him, and he's the guy that just took it. I knew how good he was with what he does, so I was like, do your thing.
And another video and a song, people should check it on your YouTube page. I know this has been out a while now, for maybe a little over a year or two. A great cover you and Jack did of Born to Be Wild.
Oh, yeah.
You guys just kind of knocked it out of the ballpark,
Yeah, that was a fun one. It was more of like a hard rock kind of metal, right? Kind of that kind of thing, just a little more. And I think we did release it during the COVID time. And I might have been one of the first ones I did during that time. I can't remember. I had been sitting on it with his vocal, and I just thought, I'm just going to finish it up. I'm going to mix it and put it out. I don't know. It's not the greatest mix, but it's pretty solid.
But again, like you said, it was released during COVID, and I think that's what makes it so cool or fun for people that didn't know how long it was going to be till they get to go see another live show. maybe.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave the fans a little something extra to be entertained by in the meantime. A little fun cover.
Yeah.
And so it is what it is, And another one I just love is I think this is the latest video. Why not? Again, let's talk about the video, because it looks like a real fun video. I don't know where you shot it. Looked like maybe a combination of Las Vegas and Wild West.
It was shot in downtown Nashville on Broadway.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Wow.
Yeah.
And what is that song about? I was reading something that you wrote on the YouTube page, something about it gave you kind of a feeling that you're driving somewhere, and it's kind of like get the feeling like you're in a race car or something.
Well, initially that's what it was. So the initial lyrics, and I have that version with the different lyrics. The chorus was always "Why Not?" It was the same thing, but the lyric, I had played it to this girl who was a student of mine for years, and I helped produce a record for her and helped write some stuff and whatever. And then I was like, hey, take a listen to this. What do you think? And she was going, yeah, it's like driving a car. And she came up with some lyrics and stuff. I go, this is pretty cool. So I went through and I revamped them and I gave them a little sexual innuendo, and it kind of had a cool vibe. But I thought, I don't know. I think it's just, maybe it's not quite the right thing. So I went back and I rewrote the lyrics. And then in that case, I used Jack Russell as the inspiration. I was going, oh, let me think. How would have Jack been in 1987 when he was on top of the world?
Yeah.
And it's like he's going for it. And the whole idea is inspiration, and why not go for it? Not everybody's going to like it, but that's okay. But why not go for it? I mean, I'll put it out there, and if you like it, that's great. And if you don't, well, that's great too.
To me, it's a fun little song, but let's talk about the video, because that looks like a professionally shot video, something you would have seen on, MTV back in the day. It's more than something that was just shot in your backyard or, your home studio.
Yeah.
I can really tell that, probably was a whole day shooting it, because it just really looked professional.
Yeah, it was, I'm going to say kind of. It was shot, some of it was shot in front of a green screen where you see some of the weird stuff, and it was a little bit during the day. Took a nap, went down at 3:30 in the morning to Broadway in Nashville and filmed right out on the Strip. It was quite a trip. It was.
So do you guys like, when you do a video like that, Robby, are you the guy that comes up with the concept idea, or you have somebody help you with that?
On that one, that was not my concept, no.
Okay.
And it varies from video to video, but a lot of times I'd like to see what somebody who's filming or whatever creative ideas they have, and kind of go like I don't know if you've seen any of the DILF stuff that I've been doing, and that's oh man, it's really well done, really good videos, and that's all between Jesse Blaze and Julie, his girlfriend. They just come up with these ideas, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll interject a little bit here and there, but very minute, because they just have great ideas. I'm like, man, you guys have got this.
Where can people check that stuff out? You got that on your page?
It's dilfusa.com. You'll find it.
Okay.
Can you cuss on this or no? Is this okay?
Oh, no, this is okay.
The one track is called Shit the Bed.
Wow, I just love the title right there. Yeah.
And it's really super cool. I mean, their ideas are great. And then we did another one that's Countdown to Christmas. We put out a Christmas song, and that one is just brilliant. Wow. I mean, I watched it over and over and over. I'm like, man, these guys, the guy who edited it and the storyline, I go, man, this is brilliant. I mean,
you're really brilliant, not just at being a songwriter and a guitar player, but the way you display this stuff, because like even in just how you're describing it, you seem to have a great sense of humor. I mean, some people would not go to all that trouble of shooting a music video. They would just post audio sample up on their YouTube page. You go the extra mile. And so like when I've been several times to your YouTube page, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll hit Robby up about doing an interview. Let's go see what he's got up there now. You have a ton of new stuff since I've been there last,
Yeah, I keep putting different stuff out. It's interesting. Like the Why Not is brand new. All Over Again is an older track, like I said. The Born to Be Wild was a few years old. The Hold the Line was like 2011. I sat on that.
Cool Toto cover,
yeah.
And so, that's the thing too is, you're one of these guys that you're super talented. I mean, let's talk too about the vocals, because you don't, I think, get enough credit for being a great vocalist. I mean, people think Robby Lochner, great lead guitarist, but were you always a singer, or when you started like recording these songs, or was it just maybe I want to record my own songs? Did somebody tell you, hey, Rob, you got a pretty decent voice, why don't you just give it a shot?
It's something that, as a kid, I started singing a little bit in bands when we didn't have a singer. And it was, I was just never really that into it. I know how hard of a gig it is. And then what had happened is I found this singer back when I was a kid for my band that I had for years, and he was just phenomenal. So I was like, that's your gig. I want to sing backing vocals. And then after the band broke up, I'm like, oh man, I got to be singing, because until I have something, I got to be putting stuff out, and I want to sing. I don't want to be doing all instrumentals. And then I ended up playing with Rob Halford, clearly, one of the world's greatest. And I've worked with several different people who were just phenomenal singers. So I was like, what am I going to do here? And I ended up having a band called Jillian's Crush. And in that band, it was myself and a friend of mine. And we both were like, okay, let's sing. Let's both do it. And as it turns out, the producer we worked with really pushed him towards being the lead singer. So I was like, okay, I pushed back again. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. But it just kept happening. I have another band, a good singer, and then I was with Jack, you know, and I've been with Jack almost 12 years.
Sure.
And you know, he's Jack Russell, right?
Yeah.
But then I have these songs and they don't really fit the band, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sing them, and whatever, that's just is what it is, you know.
And that's what makes this so fun, because maybe to you, you're not a natural singer like a Jack Russell or somebody of that caliber, but maybe too, because you write the songs, you can sing them more from the heart. But I love the fact that you're not somebody that always thought of himself as a frontman or lead singer, and yet you can do that also, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, it's a weird thing because sometimes I'll listen to my voice and I'm like, oh God, I get, you know, how you hear your voice and you kind of cringe. I get that feeling a lot. I'm like, oh, but then I can also just sit there and try and be objective and go, okay, I'll sing stuff down and I'll go, okay, I like this part. This is a good way to sing it, or this is a good way to sing it. I'll sing it like this and try and pull myself out of that, just being hypercritical over my vocals, and just go, this is the best it can be. I like it. This is pretty cool. I'm going to put it out. And if people like it, once again, it's the same thing. There's people probably going, oh,
and
boy,
let's be honest, Robby, you know, the music business being what it is today, you're lucky if you get anybody to play your songs all the way through. So if you
right.
post these songs and not only are people responding, but they're getting decent, you know, numbers, like, okay, well, my singing voice isn't half bad, maybe, because people are you know, listening to this stuff or checking it out
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were mentioning, you know, when you were with Rob Halford, another cool track I seen on the YouTube page is kind of Whoop Ass. And I understand that's the solo, or that's the track you sent to Rob that actually landed you the gig with him.
That's it's something I'd sent to his management company. And I thought, you know, I'm never going to hear from them, whatever. I sent it to him, and you know, it must have been, I can't remember how long, 9, 10 months later, I get a call out of the blue, just like, hey, their guitar player quit. They need somebody who can jump in and basically 5 days go out and do 20 songs, 5 days, you're on tour. I'm like, oh, wow, you know. And he was just, you know, I've heard you play on that, you know, I see you could play. Let's, you can do it. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. You kept, you know, pumping the confidence, because it was my first national gig, first big thing. And it was just, you know, the first day was like, wow, this is happening. And then I'm getting phone calls and it's crazy. And finally I had to shut the phone off. Like, I got to learn the songs. And then you get like, did this happen? Did it happen? And then the next day goes by, I don't hear from him. And then the next day Rob calls, how you doing? Yeah, you can do this. And, you know, it's like, okay, yes, I can do it. Yeah. And then I had to go down and get a passport as like an emergency passport to go out of the country. And it was just like a whirlwind, but it turned out good. So,
and of course that was for the band Fight, which is, you know, a little bit, it's the voice of, you know, Judas Priest there, but it's a little different what Judas Priest, I mean, Fight, especially the first album, it's a little more kind of industrial, kind of metal type, is different. He was going for a different sound. So
yeah.
when you joined Fight, you know, being the Judas Priest fan you obviously are, what was that like, you know, that it wasn't like Priest-like music, but I'm sure you're also playing some Priest songs too, you know?
We did. There was 7 Priest songs, and that for me was just like, that was the easy part. I had played most of them and I was familiar with all of them. So it was just a matter of kind of going, okay, God, I'm learning it good. And then I was going on to the Fight stuff, which I wasn't familiar with. It was like, you know, drop C on several songs. And it was just like, whoa, this is a little different. I mean, it's just, you know, it's really not that big of a deal. Really. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but tuned down, and it's just jig, 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 but kind of almost in a way Priest-like, but with the tuning and the way he developed his melodies and stuff, it wasn't. I mean, it was more like, to me, more like they were kind of going for the Pantera thing.
That's why, like, Fight, I think most people will tell you probably they love that first Fight album, you know, right out of the gates. And it's interesting because by the time he finally went back to Priest, you know, he'd been doing the Halford band, and that was kind of more a return to the Priest sound, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it was a great experience for what it was. And, you know, I'm grateful for it because it really taught me a lot. It kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And
and so you were in the touring band, but did you play on either of the albums?
I didn't. I just toured with them. And it was just after, because Russ had left the band. I don't know if you know who Russ. Yeah. And his playing was great. And to this day is just killer, you know.
And then, you know, the Why Not song, I believe I was reading that that was originally written for the new King Cobra album. I knew at one
Yes.
point that you were involved with that. Are you still involved with that, or?
I'm not. No, they had Carmine had asked me to do it, and basically goes, it's just, can you write? And I was
Yeah.
like, sure, I can write. So I came up with 5 songs because I thought he's going to need, and he goes, the other guitar player will write and you'll write. And I was like, okay. So I came up with 5 songs, and I think I gave him though 2 of them, and then I was kind of sitting back with the others because I just wanted to see what was going to happen. And
Mhm.
they're like, oh, I gave him the one, then I gave him the other, and then they're like, this is great, yeah, you can write. And they're like, oh wow, this is, they're kind of surprised. And then Paul Shortino, I start talking to him, he's the singer, and he's going, wow, he goes, it's unusual. He told me he thought it was unusual that a guitar player could write music instead of just the music, but also the melodies and the whole thing and the arrangement. I was going, well, I see things that way. For me, it's just kind of like, for some reason, when it starts coming together, I kind of see them as a whole piece. So the arrangement just kind of comes out together, and I'm like, I put it together, and here you go. So then I gave them that song, and they loved it too. But then I took it back, and I was going, I got more. I just want to do that one myself.
So did any
And
of your songs make it onto the new King Cobra album? Do you know if they went with
yeah,
anybody?
yeah. I forget what the song is called. I'm involved in the music is a piece of art, and there's the other one. I can't remember what they
Well, we'll
titled
look
it.
for it when it comes, because I know it's getting ready to be released in a couple of months or so. Been
Yeah,
hearing stuff about it. And Carmine, what was he like to work with? I mean, were you actually in the room with him, or did you just?
it was all over the phone. I mean, I've played with Carmine before. We played some shows and stuff. Him and Vinny, we did the Peace Brothers twice, and I jammed with him. Was at the LA Music Awards in 1997, and there's just some things over the past. But we just talked over the phone, and everybody's got their own studios, so it's like, well, everybody just kind of record their parts themselves, and I was like, okay, cool. And
And
then
so
it did.
when you hook up with all these guys that that want to write your songs, how does that typically happen? I know it's case by case, but do a lot of people reach out to you, or somebody hear you have a song, or just ask you, hey, I know you write songs, or?
I think it's more of they just reach out to me. I haven't really reached out to anybody to
Yeah.
write or anything. I just let it happen. Just naturally, if somebody wants to write with me or write a song for them, if they reach out to me and it's the right thing, I'll do it.
And I was interested when I heard about all over again, being originally written for Dolly Parton, because she's a lot in the news lately with the fact that getting inducted into the Rock Hall
Yeah.
last year. Now she's been recording this rock album, because I understand her feeling was, well, if I'm going to be inducted in the Rock Hall of Fame, I better record a rock album, and
Sure.
she's got all these great rockers on there: John Five, Nikki Sixx. I think she's doing a Journey cover with Steve Perry. So I mean, this is turning out to be, for a country singer's album, pretty. I think a lot of rock fans are going to be checking it out.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. And so, anything else you want to let us know about Robby? Because again, I urge people to go to the YouTube page, and they can see just what a huge talent you are. As I've been talking, because if you think this is just a guitar player from Jack Russell's Great White, there's so much more to what you do.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, just definitely going to look at Robby Lochner on Yahoo, and it might even be like just R Lochner, but then you can go into that rabbit hole. I think there's 97 videos on there right now. Some of them are interviews that I did with different people,
yeah,
and we did over 100 interviews, and I probably only have about 20 or 30 of them. But Tawny Katane, just
yeah.
before she died, have interview with her, which was a
Are
really
you
good
still
one.
are you still doing that, the podcast?
No, we stopped doing that. It was just once we got back to touring, things just
Yeah,
got too busy. And it's the same thing that happened with the King Cobra thing. Once I got touring, we were busy.
yeah.
I mean, I do the tour managing and stuff, and it just got me so busy. Like we'd be gone every weekend, and then we were changing drummers, and we were auditioning different guys, and it became hectic.
Yeah, I mean, I know
And
a lot of guys do that. I know, like Alex Grossi from Quiet Riot, he books and manages a band, and books, manages other bands. So in addition to being in Quiet Riot, so that's pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah, and
keep you
um,
busy.
I imagine you're friends with those guys. I was curious if you had a chance to hear a new Quiet Riot track they found with Frankie and Kevin. They released it a while back. There's a cool tribute video.
Oh wow, no, I hadn't seen it. Hadn't heard that either.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm sure you could look it up, but it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And what's amazing about, talking about great songwriting, this Alex Grossi, I guess, released this track. He found the track like sometime after Frankie had died, and it's from like almost 20 years ago, and it, of course, Kevin and Frankie are now gone, and it's a great tribute track to these guys, but if you listen to the words, they all almost take on a different meaning because Kevin and Frankie are no longer here.
Wow. So who played guitar on it and who played bass on it?
Alex Grassi, and then they even got Rudy came in and recorded the bass part, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. I think it's called "Can't Hold On."
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess that's all that we have to talk about today. But what I wanted to ask you before I let you go, I'm sure you've heard the cool cover Jack did with Terry Lou of the Tom Petty song "Won't Back Down." I had a chance to interview Terry, and it's apparently him and Jack are great friends. I tell you, those guys killed it on that track. I mean, I was telling Terry, you guys should think about doing an album or some more songs together, because the two guys voiced together, I tell you, it just it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually played that with them. Oh boy, I guess it was last December. We did an acoustic show, and that was one of the tracks we did, or songs we did, was their version of it. So that was cool.
And I just think, like I was telling Terry, how cool is it that you and Jack, two ex-Great White singers, you guys have become such great friends. I think that's cool, as opposed to like some other bands where the singers hate each other, whatever.
Right. Right.
Well, Robby, I'll let you go, and thanks for doing this. The interview will be going up sometime next week. I'll let you know as soon as it gets posted, and let's keep in touch and do it again down the line. It's always great talking to you. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Cool. You too. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.